Calls for guardrails on police union collective bargaining grow amid reform demands. To view the full article, click the first link in the description below. Policing the Unions is a 5-part series that examines the renewed friction between police unions and politicians in the wake of unrest over George Floyd's death, and the dynamics at play in efforts to reform law enforcement. Part 1 looked at the political pressure unions are facing. Part 2 focused on police reform legislation. Part 3 examined difficulties in firing police officers deemed unfit for the job. Part 4 showed how police unions often stick by officers accused of excessive force. Part 5, below, focuses on possible changes to police collective bargaining. Police chiefs and politicians, frustrated by union bosses, have held up collective bargaining agreements as impediments to police reform and barriersto getting rid of bad cops. In the wake of George Floyd's death, they are now calling for union contracts to get extra scrutiny and for states to revisit their police officer Bill of Rights and remove any provisions that have hampered accountability. Each individual community is going to have to look at the provisions of that contract, Houston Police ChiefArt Acevedo, who is also president of the Major Cities Chiefs Association, MCCA, told Fox News. And each state legislature will have to look at the provisions of the Police Officer Bill of Rights. Part 1, Police unions face harsh scrutiny in wake of Floyd death. We're being demonized. Police chiefs and local leaders argue that powerful unions have negotiated contracts and pushed for state reforms that make it harder for chiefs to boot out problem cops and replace them with fresh officers who embrace policing reforms. In some communities, the contracts are more problematic than others. Not all unions are built the same, Acevedo said. The calling out of collective bargaining contracts has made an already tense relationship between labor unions and management even more fraught. Union negotiating has hit major roadblocks. To view the full article, click the first link in the description below.